we go with the Kia Knicks post-game show. The Knicks back home taking on the Cavs. R.J. Barrett, another solid game. 24 points. How about the rookie Immanuel Quickley? 14 in the fourth quarter, finished with 25. Things went swimmingly for the rookie and the Knicks as they beat the Cavs 102-81. Great to have you with us from our Delta MSG studios. Bill Pito along with Wally Zerbiak. Alan Hahn is in his home studio. We're going to take you to the season debut of MSG PM in about 40 minutes or so with Monica McNutt and Kaz. They'll give you their take on the Knicks, talk about the NBA, and also have special guest, former Knick Latrell Sprewell, coming up after the postgame show. That's MSG PM. As for the Knicks story, Alan, you see the impact of Immanuel Quickley off the bench. Knicks' awful start, comes in the first quarter, gets them back into the game. And then the Knicks were only up by 5 in the third quarter. Quickley comes in, ignites a 12-1 run that turned out to be the key run of the whole game.
Yeah, and this is what gets everybody at that conversation about whether or not he should start games. And I know Wally says it's, what matters is finishing games, but I do think starting games is important too, getting off to a good start. And the Knicks did. Now, you come back from a long road trip, usually you have that little bit, lethargic in that first quarter just to kind of get yourself back acclimated, whatever it was. It was a pretty ugly game for the most part, but Quickley made a difference. Austin Rivers, the two of them came in. I know we always like to reference Quivers, the two of them together, but they did have an impact in turning this game around for the Knicks and breaking this thing open. And that's what's exciting about Quickley is that dimension he adds in the fact that he scores and puts so much pressure on the defense that it does open up opportunities for other players. So it was great to see him get back on that game tonight.
Yeah, and Coach Thibodeau coached a gem tonight, boys. He really did, because the start of the game, Cleveland had the Knicks number with that starting unit and the whole thing that was going on with Mitchell Robinson and Drummond. And when he put Quickley into the game and he put Austin Rivers into the game, the pace of the game completely changed, and he really flipped the script because it wasn't looking good early on for the starters. They couldn't get anything going at the beginning of the game, but then he put his two dynamic guards that can create offense for themselves and also for their teammates, and you got to adjust the way you defend these two guys in pick and rolls. You can't constantly go into a zone. You can't go under screens because they will burn you from deep. And Austin Rivers great in the first half, and Quickley was phenomenal in the second half and the fourth quarter. I mean, look at this shot making. This is how you close games. This is the kind of creativity that you need out of your point guard in order to make things happen and also make those Cavs guards defend. Cavs were the worst defensive team in the league last year for a reason, because those two guards are small and they're not great defenders. And if you allow them to just go under screens and not deal with pick and rolls, they get a night off. But you put guys like Quivers and Quickley in the game who can score and make them pay for their size. And also R.J. Barrett just played mouse in the house all game long with Darius Garland. He was just too small to guard R.J. Barrett and deal with his strength. Tom Thibodeau pushed every correct button tonight.
So here's a question. Quickley often impacts games in a dramatic way.
Okay.
Can he have the same effect if he's starting?
Here's the thing. Think about if Quickley was on the scouting report and it was the Colin Sexton against Quickley right off the bat. There was all kinds of okay, it's these two young guards going up against each other, and they were prepared for what Quickley likes to do. And if the game didn't get off to a good start, I like the role that Quickley's playing right now. When Tom Thibodeau needs his energy, needs his scoring, Vinnie Johnson calls him off the bench, puts him in the game, and he gets going. If he has one of those games where he's 1 for 11, okay, we can go back with the veterans. I just feel like Coach Thibodeau has a good pulse of this team right now. He has the ability to try to kind of flip the momentum depending on what lineup he puts into the game, because he can go with a lineup that's more defensive oriented with Mitchell Robinson, with Peyton in the lineup, and then he can go with his shooters and his scorers when he goes with the lineup of, say, Alec Burks and Quivers, in the backcourt, where you have scorers and maybe not as much defense. So just follow what Tom Thibodeau's doing. He knows what he's doing. He's got the Knicks off to a great start.
R.J. Barrett, meantime, Allen, is on a tremendous run here. This is another game where he scores at least 20. He went for 24. This is 9 games in a row where he has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and I tweeted it during the game just watching it. It's just fantastic. We watch him. We almost take him for granted. It's like what he's done over the past month is like when a storm rolls in, you kind of see it coming, but all of a sudden it's upon you. That's kind of what's happening with him. He's quietly become a tough player on this team that you can't put a weak defender on him because he will exploit that defender. He stopped trying to be a shooter and just became a scorer. And that's something that I think he had to figure out. As early in the season you saw he was having trouble with his shot. He's not even trying that anymore. He just knows, I get my matchup and I will take you to the basket and I will score. He's bigger and stronger than a lot of the guys he's guarding. He's growing right before our eyes. And that's what I love about it. And knocking down the free throws as well. That's an important part for him because he's going to get fouled. He's going to draw fouls. But guys, I almost think we take him for granted. When was the last time we actually talked about him on a regular basis while we're talking about other facets of the team? What he's doing this season so far, and this stretch of games that he's been on, what's he had, one quiet game maybe in the last 10? It's been phenomenal. He's 20 years old. He's in his second season, and he's emerging as a very important player.
Well, I'll tell you one guy who likes what he does, Tom, the coach. And the coach leaves him out there on the floor, Alan, for top 5 minutes in the NBA.
40 minutes.
So the coach knows how important he is. And, what he does, sometimes it's not flashy. It doesn't pop out at you. But you look down at the box score, and he's been averaging 20 a game and making his free throws. That's another thing. Another 6 for 7, like you said, getting his free throw percentage up to 75% and higher. Maybe it'll go even higher because that's what it is right now, is a great sign for a scorer like him. He can't fall in love with the jump shot, no question. He's got to manipulate matchups, use his size, use his strength, use his slashing ability.
Is that what he's doing more of now, Wally?
Yes, and it's also the coach is figuring out what plays to call for him at what times when he sees he has a matchup advantage to get him going. I think it's, it took this coaching staff just a little bit of time to figure out where R.J. Barrett likes the ball and where he can attack and where his skills can be completely utilized. And I think they're doing a great job of identifying it, and R.J. is doing a great job of taking good shots.